Welcome to It's a Death Sentence. Hi, welcome to you. What a lovely studio.
I know. Look at us going up in the world.
We are.
It's a death sentence.
We are here at
Go on, do it. The Midlands Podcast Studio.
Yeah, we are here at Midlands
This
Podcast
is our
Studio.
new home. So for those of you watching, this is our new home, and this is what you'll be seeing from now on. So we have a lovely team of people helping us along our journey now, which is amazing. And it probably is a natural position to say a big thank you to all our weekly listeners who've stuck with us, and also to Aaron and his team at Urban Podcasts
Yes.
who have produced the show up until now.
And we've had a wonderful journey with them as well. They've been very good.
Yeah, we absolutely have.
We've met so many lovely people since we've started the podcast. So that's what the purpose of this episode is, just to introduce our new season
Yes.
and also say a big thank you to everybody that we've met along the way, because
Yeah.
we've met so many people, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's been lovely.
So absolutely huge thank you. I don't think we could probably list everybody that we've interviewed because there've been so many, but we've had really nice working relationships with the Primrose Hospice particularly. We've done quite a lot with them, and there's still stuff that we're putting out at the moment with those guys.
3 more episodes to go with them.
Yeah, and I think we will work with them again.
Yes.
There's a few little things in the pipeline we might be doing with them. So huge shout out to all of the amazing people that work for Primrose, because they are just
It's
incredible.
such a lovely venue, and so, they do so much more than what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're so
really
good.
do. And I think as well, although you guys are familiar with It's a Death Sentence podcast, we also do a bit of death education. We've been piloting some stuff with schools for that. So that we want some thank yous there as well. So we've
Yeah.
got the Hazler Tudor Grange Academy, their trust.
Yeah, and the Sheffield Academy
Yes.
in Warsaw,
Yeah.
Healthall, they've been really good and helping us do the pilot. The kids there have been fantastic, or young adults as they are. They're not really kids, are they, when they're that age?
No, that would be amazing.
Yeah, they were so good.
But I think we have chosen to do this episode today, not just for the thank yous, but because we've come to realise we have never done an episode on why we're doing a podcast about death and loss.
Because we're Morpheus.
Most people who have listened to the podcast, who've followed us, will know that both Carrie and I are bereaved in several ways. Lucky us. I'm a fucking orphan. Yeah, I know. But we do get asked a lot, like, what brought us to do this podcast and what it's really about, because we get asked a lot, or people presume incorrectly, that we're a grief podcast. We are not a grief podcast. We are not counsellors. We're not grief coaches. We're just a pair of washed up old bags.
Putting the world to rights.
Putting the world to rights through. We're looking at life through the lens of loss, but with laughter. There's a lot of alliteration there, a lot of L's.
Yeah,
a lot of
and
L's.
there's lots of laughter.
Yeah. So the podcast, really, we're exploring what it's like to live after you've been bereaved, really. But for those of you who've come this far and don't know what Carrie does for a living, I think it would be a good time for you to just explain that again.
I am an anatomical pathology technician. I basically do postmortems I work for the coroner. So I see lots of dead bodies. So for me, this is like a twin project from obviously working in death and doing lots of complicated things every day when I do the postmortems, and seeing lots of different types of deaths and people's loss in such tragic circumstances sometimes. So I'm coming at it twofold, really, from like a work view, if you like a anatomical perspective.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, I lost my brother and my mother-in-law and my uncle all in quite close succession. So I just sort of felt like I'm coming at it more from both angles rather than just one.
I think that's the
Not just-
message that we're
yeah.
trying to get across here, is that we're not a grief podcast. We're not just talking about our sadness. We're talking about our journeys through life and what that means to us. But because we've got you and you're so amazing at your job and everything, we have this amazing position to be in that we are actually tackling it from a biological point of view as well, aren't we?
It's good to investigate that stuff.
And I
isn't
get
it?
to be fully educated about it all the time and like get my little inquisitive mind over to you.
Off the dirt track.
Off the dirt track, yeah. I mean, Carrie, if you're interested and you're listening at the moment, there's episodes like Gutted, Over My Dead Body.
Yeah.
They are two of the episodes that we previously recorded that really hone in on what Carrie does.
Decomposed and dead.
Decomposed and Dead, yeah. So there's 3 episodes there that if that's your bag and that's what you're interested in, they're the ones to listen to.
And we will be doing a bit more of that, won't we?
Whereas our interviews, they're quite broad. So the interviews tend to be a little bit more compassionate. We're regularly interviewing people who have lost somebody, and usually, in tragic circumstances. But what we're trying to do is capture their story so that they can hopefully, and we can hopefully facilitate conversations for other people in that situation. So we all, I think, as humans, we take comfort, don't we, from knowing that our set of circumstances, however tragic or sad they might be, we're not alone. And that was really the idea for doing the interviews. So again, if you're looking on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or wherever you're hearing us, you'll see that the interviews are currently labelled with yellow, aren't they?
That
They're
will
yellow,
change
but it will
maybe.
change,
Yeah, because we've just changed our logo.
Yeah, so we are trying to encompass conversations around death, dying, and grief that are, entertaining as they can be, whilst being compassionate, whilst being human. And it's also quite a cathartic experience for us.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely helped with healing in lots of different ways for me anyway. Some of our interviews as well are with people who work in the death industry. So, funeral directors, and often you find out that they've gone into their jobs because of a loss or because of an experience they've had, which is, again, like, it's a calling, isn't it, for them? So they're really interesting as well. And like Emma said, nobody wants to go through that experience alone. And if you can hear somebody else's story,
Well, they're
and
quite triumphant,
Yeah.
these stories, aren't they? So a lot of the people that we have interviewed or we are working with, there's Walsh's funerals, there's Primrose that we've already talked about, and the Natural Undertaking. Now, all of those people have sort of come into that work, haven't they? Like you've just said, through some kind of loss or calling into the deaf industry. And that in itself is quite an interesting thing to listen to, whether you've been bereaved or not. Who is working in the industry of death? Who is doing your job, for example?
yeah.
In fact, tell us why you came to do that job. Was it a calling for you?
I don't know if it was a calling. I always had I've always worked in sort of in health and in care, and it's not that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I've always been interested in working with people. The human body's fascinating, all that sort of stuff. And I just think I worked for the ambulance service. I've worked in day surgery, and then the doctor I used to work with in day surgery, and the manager there, he was like, "Oh, you could do so much more. Why don't you think about going and doing something, like more than what you're doing here?" And I was at a point in my life where I felt like maybe I could try and do something else. And I'd thought about going into this sort of work. It's really hard to get into. It's not cool. You can't go on a course and be like, "Oh, now I can be
Got
an
to get your GMBQ in autopsies.
No, you can't do that. So it's like, and it was literally a bit serendipitous that I saw the job advertised. I applied for it. There was lots of people who applied. I had a nightmare with my application. I ticked the wrong box. They sent me I ticked the wrong.
Mail. Oh no.
No. It was before that. I was going to say it was before the surgery. I ticked the wrong box and said, I was rushing through. No, I'll tell you what happened. Sorry, rewind. I did my application form, and you have to do a personal statement. And I thought, oh, let me type that and copy and paste it. So I typed it on my computer, went to copy and paste it into the application form, and everything was lost. I was like, fuck. Excuse my language. So then I quickly went over it again, copied and pasted it in, and it sent it off. But in my haste to do so, I ticked the wrong box that said I didn't have the right to work in the UK because I obviously didn't have my glasses on. And they sent me an email saying, thanks for your application. It was really good. But unfortunately, we can't even offer you an interview because you can't work in the UK. And I was like, what? Yes, I can. So then I asked them if I could reapply again, and I explained that I ticked the wrong box. And she was like, oh, well,
So I don't know if I want you to do autopsies if you can't tick the right
yeah,
fucking
are
box.
you a moron? Yes, I am. Thanks. And she said, this woman who was emailing me said, oh, the application closes today. I was like, oh, no, because it was like maybe a couple of weeks after that I'd got this email to say, oh, no, you're not eligible. So I was like, oh, shit, okay. So this is the third time that I did the application. I redid it again. I submitted it and I got an interview.
Third time lucky.
Third time lucky, it really was. So that's how that went. And then I went for the interview. There was loads of people who were interviewed. I was really nervous, actually. But part of me, which was weird, I had a funeral on that day of my interview.
Interesting.
In the
Strangely
afternoon.
serendipitous.
Yeah, in the afternoon. That afternoon, a member of the family, my husband's family, had died, and we were going to his funeral. And it was just at the time it was coming out of COVID, so people couldn't go. So I wasn't actually going to the funeral. I was just going to the after bit, and just helping sort out food and stuff for everybody. So I was involved, but obviously I couldn't be there because I wasn't like, a main person, which was not a problem. But I had my interview that same day. And I was sort of thinking, I'm never going to get this job. Like, this is a big person's job. This is an adult person's job.
Love
I
how
know
we
I'm
view
an
ourselves.
adult.
I don't think I can do this. Don't think I've got it in my locker.
Yeah, I know I'm an adult, but still I'm thinking, oh, this is for big people. Like, this is, it's an important job. They're not going to give it to me. I'm a moron. Do you know what I mean? So then I got it. I could not believe it. So I sort of did the interview thinking, oh, I'm never going to get it, but this is good experience. And actually,
I wonder whether because you went into it like that, you probably were better. Like you were less worried.
yeah, I mean,
There's that.
I think people go to interviews and they don't research the job
Oh,
that
yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So like some of the questions were really basic, like, do you know what we do here?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Or like, do you know who governs?
Is it sandwich making?
Yeah, that's down the road. Do you know who governs us? Like questions. But if I was going to any interview, even if it was to work in a shop, I would research the shop, and because that's just basically what you do, isn't it? You research.
Kind of good manners as well.
Yeah, hi, what am I here for? I don't know. What you got? Do you know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I've got some transferable skills, which I
Yeah.
can list.
And I think really for me, all my work experience in my work life, just sort of when I started doing the job, it all
came together.
yeah, sort of going out and treating people who are poorly, knowing what side effects and things and people, why people their symptoms and stuff, and actually seeing what it does to the body just made perfect sense for me.
That's a
So-
great. I mean, it's a really good story into doing the work you do.
Yeah,
It's really
and
good.
I do love it.
And you do love it. And the one thing that always strikes me whenever we do talk about your job is the level of care that you give to those people who've died.
Yeah, I mean, I do care. I do care what I'm doing. Yeah,
The odd thing that you've told me about, I thought, gosh, there is that element that you think because that person is no longer living, that it doesn't really matter. And what you're doing is really anatomical and very it's precision work. But that's still somebody who's loved other people and people still love that person. And so they've got to have care around them, right?
absolutely.
So tell me then, how I know the answer to this, but for anybody listening, they know what you do. They know your journey into it. How have we come to be sitting in this room? Talking death, sweetheart.
Talking death. I don't know, sweetheart. How did we get here? Well, obviously, my husband's mum passed away, died, should I say? Don't like that term, passed away.
We're not into
Which
ambiguous.
was, no, we like facts here in this room. And it was really sad, and it was quite traumatic.
Mm.
Previous to that, my uncle had died under more traumatic circumstances. And when Aaron's mum was diagnosed with cancer, it was a very quick downhill struggle from when we found out. We're talking like, I don't know, was it 6 to 8 weeks later? Then that was it. She was gone.
Mm.
So it was a bit of a shock for everybody. And there was a lot that was like not talked about. And around the same time, I had another family member die, and then I found out my brother had cancer, and nobody wanted to talk about what the fuck was going on. Like, I was just like, because I see it all
It's
the
very
time.
British, isn't it? It's very much our culture. And, this is what we're trying to do here, but we don't.
Yeah.
People are going, oh my God, that's really bad. Let's just keep on keeping on and hope nobody falls apart and has a nervous breakdown.
I think people just think if we don't talk about death, it's not going to happen, but it literally happens to all of us. So it's the one thing we've all got in common. So why aren't we talking about it? And it doesn't have to be negative.
No.
Those sorts of things can be, I'm not saying it's not scary. If I found out, oh, this is it, I'm going to die. I'm not saying I wouldn't be shitting myself, because you would be, and you'd be really fucking sad. But at the same time, there is so much to be grateful for in what you've had and what you could have towards the end and what you could give to other people just before you go. A bit like our lady who we interviewed from Primrose, Kim. How positive she was. She's got a terminal diagnosis, but yet she has chosen to live in gratitude with her remaining time. And that in itself has given her a longer prognosis. Like, she's outlived her diagnosis.
Yeah, well, you see that a lot, don't
And
you?
I just found it terrifying that we are so unwilling to talk about it. And when I found out about my brother, I mean, he was only 45 when he died, which is so young, and he left behind a young family. I couldn't imagine not hearing his voice anymore. And I just kept thinking, oh, we should record it. We should record it. And he worked in pest control, which is equally as fucking grim and morbid as my job. And we quite often would have conversations on the phone.
I've ever gone, like, how did this happen with my
what's happened
children?
to these children? They were so fucked up. And we would quite often, like, swap stories and, and he started asking me strange questions, like, this is before I knew he was poorly. Like,
Did he know he was poorly?
he knew he was poorly.
Okay,
He
fine.
didn't want to tell anybody. And he was like, if I wanted to donate my head, my skull, would you be able to do that? And I was like, I said, who are you fucking donating it to?
Oh, yeah, like,
Like, who
your
wants your
mate.
skull? And he was like, well, I'd quite like to leave it for my son. And I was like, I'm sure he'd rather have your money, mate. Do you know what I mean? So we had those conversations.
In my will.
Yeah.
You
One
can have
skull.
my head.
Keep it. Thank you. And like at the time, we're both quite, we listened to like sort of weird murder podcasts and stuff like that. So it wasn't totally out of the blue, that sort of question from him. He did ask me stuff about my job all the time, and I asked him stuff, and we had like swap stories and whatever else. And it was all like tongue in cheek and very funny because we've got a dark sense of humour. And I didn't realise it was leading up to him telling me that he was dying. So
Did that come within a couple of conversations, or was it over a period of time?
he wouldn't even tell me. His wife told me.
Wow.
He couldn't bring himself to say the words.
Okay.
There was lots of messages
the
backwards
first
and forward.
idea for the podcast that we are now doing was actually a conversation between you and your brother then.
Yeah. Well, we had these conversations, and I thought this would be so funny to record it because we actually listened to a lot of podcasts at the time. And it didn't come into fruition, the actual idea for a podcast, until I found out he was dying. I thought, I can't not have these conversations anymore in my life. I want to record him. And I think often excuse me, sniffing. I've just done some
Terrible habit.
Yeah, sorry. It's got a cold. We had I forgot what I was going to say then. This is fucking perimenopause.
Don't worry about it. I'll help you.
Recap me.
So, you and your brother, he's not told you he's terminally ill, but you have decided with him that recording those conversations that you and he were having
Yes,
would make a great
I'm back on track.
podcast.
I'm back on track.
And she's
so
back in the
yeah,
game.
she's back in the game. So we joked about it, really. We jested about this podcast. And then when I found out he was dying, I thought, there's no way I don't want to have these conversations in my life anymore. And I said to him, let's do it. Let's make it reality. Like, let's do the podcast. Let's do it. It'll be loads of fun. And I thought of the name, It's a Death Sentence. And then all he could think about was the fact he was dying. And it really, really put him off. And he shut down immediately talking about anything really to do with death.
How interesting. So you've gone that full circle with him.
Yeah.
And that's when you've got to appreciate, and we've all got to appreciate, that the ideas we have about how we might feel in that situation are often not the case.
Yeah. And I had to respect
I'd
his
love
wishes.
to think that I would have grace, because I watched my mum not have grace when she was dying.
But we all know, swear, you won't.
No, I'll be an arsehole just like everyone else.
But yeah, so then my mission was really to try and record some conversations with him, not about death, but about just having a laugh in life.
And this really was for his son.
so I could give it to his son
Yeah.
when his son was older. That was my motivation. But it became increasingly more difficult to get him to commit to doing anything, and he just did not want to be around anybody.
And that was that kind of shut down for him. He's
shut
just
down,
not going to
yeah.
communicate about it at all.
No. And he did not even want to talk about anything around even like future plans. Nothing. He just didn't want to talk. And that was not like, we had weekly conversations, and we talked regularly and messages all the time. And it sort of slowly started to peter out. So then I went to our friend James, and said, I was thinking about doing this podcast, and obviously now maybe it's just not a good idea. And James was, obviously he lost his mum when he was young, and he said, I would love to have to hear her voice now.
Yeah.
He said, you should do it. It's so important for
Big
someone.
shout out to James.
Yeah,
I grew up with
absolutely.
James, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
Like the trauma really he went through when we were kids was profound, because loss is always profound, but when you're a child, it's more so. But we should give him a big shout out, because
Yeah.
we don't often actually.
'Cause
And
he is a big
very
champion of
he's
ours.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
champions us, and he's a big part of what we're doing. So well done, James, because without him, we probably wouldn't be doing this right now, would we?
So yeah, James really said to me, "Oh, you should. It's such a good idea. Like I would cherish something like that if I had it. You should just do it." He said, "In fact, record me, give me an interview." And I'm not an interviewer. I've never interviewed anybody before. Yes, I've taken out lots of lungs and hearts and spleens, but I've never like sat down.
But it's not the same.
Yeah, and obviously it's a skill, isn't it? Interviewing. I have never done it before, so I was really nervous about it. He sat me down. I went to his house. We did it together, and it was really funny actually, because he's a friend and he's a really good friend, and it was lovely to have his voice recorded. And we talked about like what he would want and his wishes, and going forward what he'd want, if he died.
Wow.
and-
So there's almost a cathartic thing there for you, because you were at least getting to have the conversation that you wanted, perhaps with your brother, at least with somebody.
with somebody that I love as well, somebody that I care about. And also then I thought that is so nice to have that in place so when our time comes and we're no longer, we're shuffling off this mortal coil, somebody will be able to listen to what James wants and go, that's what he wanted, or
Because he
that's-
didn't write a will. that day.
Yeah. He's fucking disorganized. No, he's not. He's very organized. But yeah, so do you know what I mean? So then I thought that is a really nice thing to have for your children. So I didn't know then if maybe it sort of turned into more legacy stuff I was looking at. I didn't know what the direction of the podcast was going to be at that point, because I was so set on doing it with my brother, and then thought, I can't do it. And James was like, do it. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe it could be like legacy based. So you
Yeah,
could leave
yeah.
like something for your children or your loved ones or whatever for the future, so your kids could always hear your voice. And then the more people I interviewed, it was sort of therapy for me a little bit, listening to their stories. And some people, I think it was therapy for them talking about it, because I think with grief, you get to a point where your friends and family and your immediate people are like, oh, are you okay? And they
And
talk
like we've
about
just
it.
said,
And then they're
they're-
fucking sick of it.
And they're also, lots of people, and it's not their own fault, are not equipped to talk about it.
No.
They're just not. So,
And life moves on.
and you get fatigued by telling your story over and over again.
And it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you the same way, because it still has that profound effect on you. So I feel like for some of the people that we interviewed, it was permission to talk about their loved one.
Yeah.
And there was loads of laughter, there was loads of tears. I interviewed quite a few people, and then I came to interview yours truly. I interviewed you, and we had a great interview. I thought it was
Yeah.
really good. It was like we just had a good connection, and we've known each other for years.
We have known each other for years. And that's, again, I'm always trying to think what questions we're asked by people. People are like, how did you and Carrie come to do this? But actually, we didn't just meet randomly. We've known each other a long time.
20 years.
But we weren't ever like super best friends or anything like that. We were both friends with this sort of similar group of people.
And we
weren't
sort of moved in and out of each other, maybe socially, occasionally, but not all the time. Yeah.
And when you came to interview me, on James's suggestion, wasn't it?
Yeah. He
It
said
was
you should
really
speak to
about-
Emma.
Yeah, and so I'd lost my mom, but years before, but she was very young. But I'd also lost a succession of other family members and friends. So lost quite a few friends along the way to accident and suicide and all sorts of things. So
And you'd been really poorly, and I was really interested in the connection between like physical health and grief at that point. I was
Yeah.
thinking there's got to be a connection here, because a lot of people I've spoke to about loss and about grief often after it's sort of manifested in physical ways for
Yeah.
some people. So I was quite interested in the fact that you'd been not very well and had a really difficult time. And I wondered if there was a connection loosely. I
It's
was thinking,
interesting,
is
isn't it?
there?
Because I was only reflecting on this a couple of days ago. I was thinking like how many episodes we are in now, how well we're doing. Thank God,
Mm.
it's wonderful. I love what we're doing. Um, and I thought when you first came to me and we were recording on your little Tascam then
Yeah.
and in my lounge, and I
I was
thought,
going home and editing and on a weekend.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought I was still quite poorly then.
Yes, you were. And things have changed massively
Yeah,
since then.
yeah. And it's interesting because my mom, who obviously we were talking about at the time, she was a massive believer in the mind-body physiology, right? So she was really fucked off when she finally got the correct diagnosis in how it was delivered to her, right? So she was very much like, if you tell a person they are unwell and they've only got a year to live, they'll probably only live a year, right? So you suggesting that, as a concept, and me growing up with that kind of that philosophy she had, and now reflecting back, even, that's a year and a half ago, just over a year and a half ago when I was in that, I got quite poorly. I was poorly for nearly 2 years, really. Not something I've talked about a lot, not even on this podcast. Might have done in the first interview we did.
We did say we'd cover that.
Yeah,
We will do an episode on
yeah.
it. Yeah.
But now I can look back and go, wow, like I remember you being in my lounge and me still struggling with my speech. So I was diagnosed with a stroke, and then the neurologists ummed and ahed, and to this day, I don't really know the answer to any of it, but I know that it affected my balance, my speech, my general demeanour and ability to live a normal life.
And your identity, because it changed
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
could do as a
Yeah,
job
yeah,
and,
absolutely.
your capabilities as a mother and everything.
Yeah. And I think, I'm actually, although I'm doing a podcast about it now, I was extremely private about that. I never once put a post out on social media about how I was. And that, I'm not saying that's wrong. For some people, that's their journey, isn't it? But for me, it wasn't. And it took me a long time to realize that, what had happened to me could just be bad luck, right? Like everybody, some people get cancer, some people have a stroke, some people end up with an embolism, whatever it's going to be. Or is there a real connection with the sheer amount of loss that was present in my life and trauma? It's not,
And
I'm
not just like loss of people, like loss of jobs, loss of opportunity,
loss of
loss of
identity.
identity.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
so many
yeah.
losses as a woman.
And, my daughter was very, very poorly when she was born, which again, I've not really spoken about much. And prior to having the stroke, I was actually undergoing counselling for that for the first time in years. I mean, thank God she's fine, just so everybody knows. But when I started to look at, right, I lost a friend at that time. I lost one of our relatives really young, was a baby, and then another friend, and then a suicide, and then my mom, and then I had 2 children that she never knew,
Back
and
to
then
back as
one
well.
of them nearly died.
Yeah.
And actually, is there any wonder that you get to that point where your brain, and I sometimes just think it went, nope,
Yeah. Not
no,
braining today.
no.
Sorry.
You're going to try and get on stage and do a gig? You must be fucking joking. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But going back to our theme of how we came to be here, that interview for us was really pivotal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Us getting together. Because I remember thinking, I couldn't go out and gig. I do have experience in being an interviewer. I've worked in on various things, being an interviewer, not interviewee, and I've always been on stage. So you coming into my life at that time, I felt was very serendipitous. 'Cause
Yeah.
I knew that you were very good at what you were doing, and you've never given yourself credit for it. I'll always give you credit for it. But I think there's the comfort in doing things together. So, what you could bring to the equation, what I could bring to the equation, we're actually quite wildly different things.
Yeah.
Really.
But somehow it worked.
Yeah. Especially when we worked out we're both arseholes.
With really dark sense of humour. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think for me, like coming away from our interview that I did with you, I just had a moment where I thought, I don't really want to launch this on my own, because I'd planned to launch the podcast on my own. And I thought there's something here and I'm not sure what it is, But that's when I came to you and spoke to you about it. And luckily you were on board. Otherwise, where would we be? And then the podcast really has changed from what it originally set out to be. And it isn't anything now that resembles
Its
my
original.
first
Yeah,
vision for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And I think you sort of have to be like that if you're an entrepreneur or you're
It's a very creative process, and
Yeah.
it's especially podcasting. I think people buy into not just your subject matter, but you two or the person, the interviewer or whatever. They buy into that character, and I think we discovered we had what we feel is a pretty good chemistry between us, and our joint interest in death as a whole without it being depressing all of the time. We're not sitting here saying, oh my God, we're just looking at the lighter side of death all the time. We're not all of the time.
No.
We're both profoundly affected by grief. Let's get that out there straight away. Yes, we laugh. Yes, we're inappropriate. Yes, there's dark humor. Yes, we're vulgar, right? Are these all coping mechanisms? Also,
Absolutely.
yes. Also, yes. But I don't feel that that's like a bad thing. I feel like the more people I talk to who are willing to have open conversations around death, like you said, that period of your time, of your life where people just weren't willing to discuss it. How many times in my life have I been around somebody and they've gone, how are you? And I've gone, yeah, I'm good, thanks. And I
And really,
thought-
you're not.
I thought, actually, loads of people are dead, and that's kind of the narrative I've got used to. And it's really hard on your own. And I'm divorced, and I've got 2 young kids, and my dad's got dementia, and he's now dead. There's like but we can't, can we, as humans, offload that shit onto everybody you meet.
That's probably why I've got
But
no
what's
friends.
nice is that we can do it to each other, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is exactly what we did last night when you rang me, and I had a complete nervous breakdown and cried on the phone because the 6 weeks holidays are
They're
that
brutal.
shit is
They're
real.
brutal.
Oh
yeah.
my God. But have we answered our own question before we go off on a tangent again? Because we do this, don't we? This is why we're doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, we've answered that. And how we came to do it.
Yeah. And, really for us now, the mission really is to normalise these conversations and to hear from people who are going through those things and to give them a place to come to either talk and
We
tell us their
literally-
story
Yeah.
or to give us some feedback about what they have listened to and has it helped them.
And I think as well to provide a type of entertaining respite while still discussing the subject at hand,
Yeah.
Because I know that when I've looked for podcasts or I've looked for blogs or I've looked for videos or whatever on whatever I'm going through in that particular stage of bereavement, what I'm confronted with all the time is doom, gloom, and despair, and other people's like input, and they might be psychologists or doctors or like counselors or whatever. And after a while, I think I'm actually more fucking depressed now than I was when I started. So, I think our human nature is that we've got to be able to do both. We're juggling this bothness.
And I think as well, sometimes people, when they see the title of the podcast, they might think, I'm in a good place now with my grief. I don't want to get depressed again.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Or I'm not ready to listen to sad things. And the new normal, you remember the charity we interviewed Ben, who was lovely. They have got there was an American guy on there who said that he messaged somebody that I know who's in one of their chats, and he said that I didn't think I was going to like it, but I do. So automatically he thought it was going to be depressing, I think, and sad. Yes, some of the stories are sad.
Yeah.
They are fucking
But
sad.
I just think,
but also some of them are funny.
But I
you
think
know?
that's where we're going. I think our vision with this now is we want to be a bit of a lifeline to other people who might be in the same position that we're in, but offer them something that is a bit more
Realistic.
yeah. And the whole thing about a lot of people feel really guilty about laughter after loss.
Yeah. And it's sometimes they say laughter's the best medicine.
There's a reason for it. I mean,
Yeah.
it literally does things physiologically to our bodies, doesn't it? That improve our mood.
Yeah. And we've got to get them vibes high.
Got to get those vibes high, sweetheart.
So that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
And what we would like you to do is find us on socials. Please
Yes,
find
yeah.
us on socials.
We are
We
on
are
TikTok, Instagram,
YouTube.
Facebook,
and YouTube.
And
I know we've got a
YouTube.
YouTube channel, which is where this video will be.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on @It's a Death Sentence Podcast. All the links will be in the show notes, so you can get hold of those. Any links to any of the charities we've got in our historic episodes.
Yeah.
If there's anyone you want to get in touch with, let us know.
Yeah. If you've got a
Please
really
get
good
it-
story, come to
I mean,
us.
we have had lots of people who've been on the show have actually contacted us
Yeah.
and said, "This is my story. Would you like to interview me?" Yes, we would. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we're dying to
We
talk
are
to you.
dying to talk to you, literally.
Yeah,
That's
so-
our catchline.
Yeah, so it's literally in the title. So please do come and talk to us. And yeah, so for now, that's it for today, is
That's
it?
it for today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as always, we're dying to talk to you.
It's